Hi, I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. On this program, the mayor has the opportunity to talk to you about things taking place in the township and to help you meet people that are making things happen in the township. And today we're very pleased to have with us our executive officer of the Office of Economic Development, Steve Mamakas. And Steve, welcome.
Steve.
Nice to have you with us today.
Great to be here.
Mayor, before we get going with Steve, one thing we had talked about off the air a bit, the housing market in Old Bridge seems to be exploding.
I wouldn't call it exploding, but it's on the rise. The inventory of available homes keeps going down. The prices keep going up.
Yeah,
We've had some
I noticed
bidding
that.
wars. We found the number of residents getting more than their asking price for the homes, and that's a good thing. And a lot of things contribute to that, Gene. That just doesn't happen overnight. First, one of the biggest attraction Old Bridge has is the school system.
Yes, sir.
A school system that gets results. A school system that contains special needs programs. Especially our Camp Robin, our before and after care, which is recognized nationally. A lot of people do their homework.
Yes.
So those are all factors that play a role in someone coming to Old Bridge and deciding to live, raise a family here. The town, the stable taxes, the condition of the town, all that also plays a role. The proximity, location, as we say.
Right.
So there's a lot of positive energy out there in the housing market, and that's good for the town. It's good for the residents who live here, because not only does that mean that the sale prices are higher, but your price of your home, even though you're living in it, your equity
is going to be
building, so you can
yes.
take that money in your home, and you can do your kitchen, you can do something in the backyard, you can invest into your house with money because of the way the market is, the housing market. So I would ask anyone to take advantage of it if they could in these times like that. Low interest rate and growing equity, it's a great business model for anyone to follow.
And I think you give me a good cue, Steve, if I can turn to you. This also has got to encourage business investment in the township, huh?
Yes, most definitely.
As part of your efforts.
Correct.
Can we go through some of the things, you and I talked off the air a little bit about some of the things you've been involved in. And one of the things I see right in front of you is we have a new newspaper in Old Bridge some people may not be familiar with. The
Correct.
Old Bridge, Around Old Bridge, I think.
All around Old Bridge.
All around Old Bridge. And how has that been going, Steve?
It's been going well. It's a hyper-local newspaper, specifically just for Old Bridge. It's mailed directly into the mailboxes. You don't find it on the sidewalk.
That's
okay.
That's important, so you can't tear it up with your snow blower or lawnmower.
Right.
So it's going very well. The paper has expanded. It's been in operation for 8 months now. It was pretty much conceived and brought to light through the Economic Development Office. As you'll see, our logo is up on the top of that.
Yes, sir.
However, a local businessman invested in creating this newspaper for us, and it's been advantageous for the entire community, from the township having their information on there, and the local residents seeing their kids on the paper and so on. So the mayor is in there. He has his own column.
Well, that's what I noticed,
column, and so on. So
that's a nice touch, Mayor. You having your own column, business director has his own column, you have your own column.
Yeah, the
Works
senior
well.
center, the school district, everybody has an opportunity to say what's going on, and what they're doing, and the things that have happened over what you can look forward to over the next couple of weeks. I think it's a great asset for the community, and I have had nothing but people tell me how they enjoy it. They read it, they get a lot of information out of it.
Yeah. It seems to have a lot of information, because the rest of the newspapers in suburban and all seem to pass the whole
no comment
township by. No comment. Okay.
And one of the good things is when this was created, it was created to allow the local businesses to advertise at a reasonable, affordable rate for the small or large business.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Steve, one thing you've talked about on your own show, and that's been the Uber program.
Correct.
We haven't touched on that recently. How is it going? Is it growing? Is it being utilized?
It's going very well. I mean, we hear good comments back from our residents and the restaurants that do serve liquor, and it's a good comment. So we're trying to look to expand it now. So Mayor, if you want to talk a little bit about how we're looking to expand it to our seniors, which is going to be a good opportunity. We're waiting for actually Uber to get this particular program in place. We brought it to them, we presented it to them, and they're on board with it, and trying to get our seniors in Old Bridge to a doctor or the hospital. We already have 2 businesses signed up, ready to pay for the rides for the seniors. But we just have to wait for Uber to get that program in place.
But that is an interesting point. They already have the little van. Diane has the vans that run around town, but this is specific for specific needs: church,
Yeah,
doctors,
on your own
shopping.
time. You don't have,
Right.
if we pick you up, there's a dedicated time.
Yes, sir.
Uber is 7 days a week.
So there's a nice expansion, and the businesses will pick up the tab for Uber.
Most definitely. And we have the hospitals already interested
And
in
the hospitals,
doing it as well.
that's great. So it is obviously growing.
There's a lot of opportunities with this type of program. We're looking to expand it. Maybe
Right.
some other ones. I always talk about it. Where there might be other groups of people in town that need a ride to certain places,
Yeah.
employment. So there's a lot of opportunity for the Uber program here in Old Bridge.
Okay, one thing you had mentioned, Steve, in the past is the police departments are very much in favor of Uber, huh?
Most
Keeping,
definitely.
disabled drivers, as we say. Or,
Yes, impaired.
Impaired drivers.
And basically, like we've mentioned before, it takes the police resources and puts them where they're needed as opposed
Yes.
to pulling somebody over for drunk driving.
Yeah, which you definitely don't want these days.
No, so it takes the resources and sends them to the right place.
Okay, thank
And
you.
also, Gene, as people
Yes,
get up in
sir.
age, they're not as comfortable behind the wheel. It takes that
Yeah.
that anxiety, that stress out of having to make
Absolutely.
that trip. So I think it's good for that also for the elderly.
I think it's a great idea. I know my son uses Uber all the time, even on business trips. When he goes someplace he doesn't rent a car, he uses Uber to go from place to place, from the airport to a certain place, back to the hotel.
My son's in Europe, and that's all they do.
Really?
They don't even own a car. Yeah.
In Uber, really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
everywhere.
They started in Europe, didn't
I
they?
believe so.
They started in Europe. Okay,
And that's one of
good.
the reasons why we won the Public-Private Partnership Award for our innovative
That's right.
ways with the Uber program. So.
Okay. Steve, the billboard. I've heard a lot of talk about the billboard, about you and the billboard.
Me and the
Tell us about
billboard.
the billboard.
Actually, we were just featured in the League of Municipalities magazine about the billboard, and another innovative idea. Being a small business owner, as the mayor is, and small businesses, their dream is always to get their name up on a billboard. Get that recognition.
Yeah.
Through our campaign of Think Old Bridge, we wanted to present to people driving through Old Bridge that we have everything in Old Bridge as you go through our town. So I contacted the local billboard company, which was the one on 9 by All American Ford, and I went out to the local businesses, and we came up with a plan that businesses can advertise and get their name up on that board for $99.
Wow. For how long?
We had for 4 weeks during the holiday season.
Okay.
We're probably going to do it again. We've expanded it out to like a $4.99 where they get a little larger size of the board. But the original one, we had 25 businesses sign up in 2 weeks.
No kidding.
And so it was everything from pizzerias to physical therapy companies to dealerships and so on. And it proved to be very well received and a good asset for our businesses in town.
Steve, where is it physically located, the billboard?
It is on Route 9 South.
Okay.
Southbound side, just between the Wawa and the All-American Ford. It's the new tall billboard, just as you enter the town. And basically, what it said was, we put a message out there. We used our branding slogan, which is Think Old Bridge, and then
Right.
the other comment was, we have it all. So,
Okay.
And
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No,
now.
it's okay.
Okay. This is a computerized and LED type of bulletin board where
Yeah,
you
Gene,
can
that's what I was going
change
to say. These are
messages.
electronic billboards.
Yes,
Actually,
yeah.
they are just jumbo screen televisions.
Yeah.
So these messages, they scroll and the dwell time. So as Steve said, you could be the smallest business in Old Bridge, but yet you'll have 20, 30 seconds every couple of cycles. You will be up there.
Well, that's pretty cool. So it is a.
So it's not like the old-fashioned billboards
yeah,
with the
where it's
wallpaper.
static with
where
the
it
paper.
stayed there
Yeah,
for a
static.
month.
Yeah, that's what
These
I was.
minutes, they stay up for minutes and they change. It seems to be the trend all over New Jersey and all over the country with these electronic billboards.
Seems to be definitely the trend at ballparks today. If you watch a baseball game, behind the bat or behind
Yes.
the catcher, the bulletin board changes constantly
Yep,
from a
same
hotel
thing,
to
on
a
much
food
larger-
store.
much larger scale.
That's fantastic.
So
Good
it's
job,
great.
Steve.
It's really good.
Good job. Okay, Steve, as I say, you've been a busy guy, as we talked about.
most definitely.
The healthy kitchen concept. Now, we've been over to the hospital several times. We've done some shoots over there. Where does that stand right now?
We're working on it. It's going along. Another idea was to feature the restaurants in town.
Right.
To have them recognized, the restaurants we have in town. And then the idea was working with the Jocelyn Diabetes Center and
Right.
having people cook healthy. So getting our chefs from all of our restaurants to come in and cook healthy and show that our restaurants can cook healthy. And the mayor's been there, has been engaged as part of the wellness program now. So the mayor wants to touch upon that. But the main thing, it started out as, why don't we look at, do a top chef, have them come and
Yes,
compete against
yeah.
each other. But basically what it turned into is having our chefs be recognized, our restaurants and our owners be recognized for what they do for our community, but just make them show that they can cook healthy. And that's
Okay.
part of the mayor's program.
Yeah, Gene,
Okay,
healthy,
yes, please.
healthy living and healthy eating
Right.
is a major part of of getting old.
Please, Mayor.
And we all know that if you take
Yes.
care of yourself,
Right.
your body will take care of you.
Yeah.
If you abuse your body, and you're gonna experience some health issues.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm on an average, and obesity is one of the leading
I know, it's
we
amazing,
have.
isn't it?
So. Obesity leads to a lot of other medical issues. So it's important that people have the opportunity to see that you can eat healthy. There
Right.
are alternatives, and it tastes good.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
it's
it
not
does,
all,
yeah.
bacon grease and
Right,
gravy all the
right.
time.
So-
You could have a well-cooked meal that's healthy, it's
And
rewarding,
it
and,
tastes
at
well.
the same time, it's good for your body.
Good, good.
So
Yes,
in
Steve.
that program, it's the local chefs and our business
Yeah.
owner working with the nutritionist of the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and then explaining as to what the ingredients are, what are the best ingredients to use. So, and it also reaches out, and the diabetes center, it reaches out to the people who might have that have diabetes, and give them an incentive to say, hey, let me just try that, and
Right.
to change their diet.
Is the hospital looking to expand that at all, or, do we know, or?
No,
where
don't know
it's
about
going, or
expansion, but it's to get the diabetes center recognized.
get it
It's there.
recognized, right? Yeah, we were over
They're
there
a very
once or
vibrant
twice.
program, well attended, and I'm sure if it needed to be expanded, they would.
Yeah.
Now with the mergers of all the hospitals there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll tell you, it's will be one
It-
big
it's-
hospital
it's
pretty
a diamond
soon.
over there in Old Bridge.
I know. Steve, the Business Alliance, would you talk a little bit about that? You've been very active in that, very aggressive in that. We've had some great meetings. You've had a lot of people in. You've had the Lieutenant Governor here. Share with the residents a little bit about that, would you please?
Well, the Business Alliance is a collaboration with local business leaders and so on to get them all in a room together on a monthly, sometimes quarterly, depending on the venue. We have the local businesses from the car dealerships to the restaurants open their doors up, provide food to local businesses, but it's not just local businesses. It's businesses from the next townships, council people from other townships.
Really?
Chamber of Commerce will come. We have people coming from Long Island and upstate, up in northern New Jersey to come and attend our meetings. Each one we try to put a different venue together. One we had a local business just opened up, a construction rental business. We had them bring their backhoe, which is a pink backhoe, which supports breast cancer.
Breast cancer, right.
So we allow the businesses to see that they can get this, connecting with the hospital. If they want to have a charitable event, they'll bring this tractor there. Mayor, if you want to talk about the DCH Honda event, where we brought in the Batmobile.
Yeah.
We had the Batmobile on Route 9, and it was everybody was stopping on Route 9 to come see it. It was quite, and that was one of those businesses where you could have the availability of that and other famous vehicles from TV
Right.
or the movies. Bring it to
Right.
your business, and advertise it if you want to have an open house, and it would draw a crowd.
It's a fantastic concept.
So
I
that's
think the way it's been working.
So utilizing, so we try to make different topics. So the last topic was advertising. So we talked about advertising through the newspaper, advertising on the billboard, utilizing a movie type vehicle. There are different avenues you can travel to get your business noticed. And at the same time, we're getting ready to do our 2017-18 magazine, which is also a good way that, and it's one of the avenues and good tools that our real estate agents use, showing the community, the attractions, and so on. So we're trying to bridge them together. If you advertise in one and you advertise on a
Right.
billboard, we may get you also a reduced rate on both of them.
Can I ask you to hold that thought?
Sure.
Because it's time to take a break. I hate to interrupt you right now, but folks, it is time to go to a break. We're talking with Steve Mamakas, who is the Executive Officer of the Office of Economic Development here in the township. We'll be back in a moment.
Drop that baby.
Folks, welcome back to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. Today our guest is Steve Mamakas, who is the Executive Officer of the Office for Economic Development. And Steve, when we went to the break, we were in the midst of talking a little bit about the Business Alliance. You were elaborating on it, Mayor. No, you wanted to
The
say
new
something.
magazine that's coming out
Right.
of town, Steve, if you want to touch base on the process. We're starting the cycle over again now.
Correct, and a good point there is the magazine has a great attributes to it. As the third party sells the magazine ad space in there, the magazine shows everything about Old Bridge, our attractions, our community, our churches,
Right.
and so on. But what's derived out of that is we receive a check back from the proceeds from that. It doesn't cost the township
really?
any money.
Really?
We receive 15% back of the sales. And Mayor, if you want to talk about what we do with that check.
We have so many great organizations in town. Usually we split it up about 3 ways.
Yeah.
Steve. I won't name the organizations
Right.
now, but
Right.
it gives us the opportunity to put that money right back into the community. For some of the organizations, nonprofit groups that are really doing a good job here in Old Bridge, providing services that we don't provide as a community, and makes their life a little bit easier. So it's a great guide. That's what I call it, a guide to Old
Good
Bridge.
guide, right.
It's good if you live here and you need contact information, and people, don't realize how big Old Bridge is. And when
Yes,
you open up
yeah.
that magazine, you'll see how big it is from Raceway Park to the Raritan Bay.
It's huge
And everything in
township, yeah.
between. So there's a lot of good information in there. And it's it's good for people who were thinking of coming to Old Bridge to get a good base and all the contact information they might need to do their homework before they come to
Okay.
this town.
Well, thank
and it's
you,
well
Mayor.
put together. It's
Yeah.
well put together.
It is,
magazine.
it
The
is.
Pictures, all the messages will be different
It's
this
nicely
year.
done, very nicely done. And Steve, one question: you touched on the momentum of those meetings, drawing people from New York, Long Island, upstate New York. Why? Why do they come?
Investment in the town, as the mayor says, investment in the town, connecting with the local community.
Okay.
One of the organizations is, if you look down the Route 9 corridor, you'll see the bus shelters.
Right.
There's advertisement on there. So what they do is they come from Long Island. They're based out in Long Island. They'll come to our alliance meetings to connect up with the local community to try to get them to advertise right in their own town. So
Okay, that's why they come. That's
yeah.
what my question was. I'm just
investment,
curious.
real estate
Right.
developers will come down from different parts of the state.
Right.
So it's working.
Okay, good. Good job, Steve, on that. That's a great thing. The things we tape for you over there, were very successful, I think. One thing, if we could, Steve, talk a little bit about some of our new businesses coming to town. We touched on them off the air. If I can just go down a little bit, the Grillstone Restaurant.
Yeah, the
It's coming.
Grillstone Restaurant's coming.
When and where?
They're thinking mid-June, right on 516. In
Okay.
the old Murphy Steakhouse it
Was the
was.
Murphy's McGuire's thing on across from Browntown?
Across from Browntown, right next to the KFC.
Okay.
And it's going to be a beautiful place inside. We've been watching the progress and the growth. We're going to do a grand opening, probably have an alliance meeting there as well.
Really?
That's what we try to do, is get them into the community.
Right.
And Grillstone is coming.
And that's a perfect example,
Right.
Gene, of a business from out of town. They operate another facility up in Scotch Plains, I believe. They did their homework and said they could build one here. They need one here in Old Bridge. So that's a perfect example of a business inquiring, looking to place to expand, and they picked Old Bridge.
That's a good point, and I think Old Bridge can always use another restaurant.
Most
In my
definitely.
experience,
we
yeah.
have a large number of people, as we know.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't want to drive too far.
Exactly.
And you should have the ability to get good food at an affordable price right here in Old Bridge. And we do have a number of establishments But I believe based on the demographics and the homework that was done, we do need more restaurants, Steve. I
We
think
do,
that was
yeah.
one of the
Given the
areas
population.
shown, given the
Right.
population, that we could use some more restaurants. So there's
Right.
businesses, restaurant businesses that look at those numbers.
Some for you to go to, Steve, next to another restaurant. Steve, you mentioned one thing sort of surprised me, and that was a winery.
Winery, yes.
Yeah, help us with the winery
Well, the
concept.
winery.
I think that's a great idea.
It's a meadery. It's a wine made from honey.
Really?
Through our branding, marketing, Old Bridge selected. I wound up talking to the proprietor,
Yeah.
and he says, I want to open my business in Old Bridge.
Who is bringing wine to Old Bridge, though? Is he have a vineyard, or it's honey, or?
No, it's
How's this
just
gonna
it's a
work?
production distribution company. So he creates it with the stills and all. Maybe you want to talk
Again,
a little bit
another
about
business
it.
from out of town.
Another business
They
from
had
out
a
of town.
location in North Jersey. They were looking to expand. They looked at it and picked Old Bridge. It's we've sampled it,
Yes.
and all I can say is if anyone has ever drank or has made wine themselves or homemade wine, my grandfather used to make
Really?
wine, that's what
Yeah.
it tastes like. It
Really?
tastes like homemade wine that your relatives used to make if they lived in the city, or they were the
Right.
Italians that used to go buy the grapes and skin them and hold the whole process and press them. That's what it tastes like to me. It tastes like homemade wine, but it's made out of honey.
It's made out of honey. I didn't
interesting.
know you could even make wine out of honey. Doesn't that sort of contradict the
It's back.
concept of
It goes
wine,
back to the
grapes?
medieval times, I think. As they were
Mead?
talking.
Goes
Yeah.
back to mead?
Yeah, I believe so.
Does it really?
Amazing.
And through the process of
Yeah.
recruiting businesses, retaining businesses, recruiting businesses is providing them with the demographics
Yeah.
and actually speaking to them and telling them, well, if you locate in Old Bridge, all of the roads run south, going down into the shore, and the shore community, a destination location. So, and that attributed to them making this decision to come to the town.
Does it have an alcoholic content?
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
It does.
Yeah, higher than normal.
Higher than normal.
So you can't drink as much wine.
So they'll have
We'll have
tastings.
to have Uber over there.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
Well, that folds into the whole
Yeah.
Uber program.
Where is it going to be located?
It's going to be located on Route 34.
so
just-
people can go, stop by, patronize it, bring it home. You can bring home a bottle
Bring
or
home. It's a distribution.
goods.
They distribute throughout the state. We've been learning a lot about
I was gonna say,
the
yeah.
operation and what it takes. They're actually recognized. They've won awards throughout the world for their particular. They have different crazy names,
Yeah.
but it's a proprietor. He really, like the mayor said, the wine is delicious.
Is it
And so-
branded at all, Steve?
I
Is
believe,
that
yeah,
we
it's
can
it's
discuss or
branded.
a brand name.
It's
or
called Melavino.
Melavino.
Winery.
They ship out of state.
Ship out of state.
Wow. That's
They,
wild.
the reason why we're talking about it is they have signed their lease, so that's why we can talk about it. We want to try to get them promoted as they're coming up and building. They have the big
Okay.
kettles in there, so you can do tours and tasting.
It's a fantastic concept.
So-
We're in 34.
It's just before Disbrow Road.
Oh, really? Right by the
Across from the
marketplace.
marketplace.
Across
It's a
from the
new building, new
marketplace.
construction.
building.
A New
Right.
building went up back there. And
That's
that's important too,
interesting.
Jane. Let me just
Yes,
say
sir.
that, Steve, your efforts in that was monumental.
Yes.
When that business owner first came to Old Bridge
Yeah.
and said, I'd like to open up a winery here in Old Bridge.
Yeah.
I said, oh, that's a great idea. But we've been working on that for over a year, at least a year. Steve, about half a dozen different locations.
Yes.
Where Steve went out, talked to the owners, and it seemed like every time we thought we were close to finding them location, something happened. That they just didn't meet their needs.
Yes.
Because of Steve's perseverance and dedication, finally found the place that I think is perfect.
That's
Out of
perfect.
all the locations
Most
that they could have moved into, that one was perfect. That is really perfect.
That sounds like something interesting. A winery, a
it's-
tour.
We can't wait. We're going to have
Money, I
an
bet.
alliance meeting there as
There's going
well.
to be a couple of alliance meetings.
We'll have to have somebody from that
We'll have
in
to do a
here too,
TV
Mayor.
show there.
We'll have a
Do a
TV show
TV
there,
show.
right?
Grand
Outlook
opening.
with Mayor
and all.
Henry at the winery.
Right. No, that sounds good. It
But
sounds
it
great.
takes that perseverance
Yeah.
to recruit these businesses, give
Oh,
them
I-
the
yeah.
demographics, tell them about the town, treat them as they're already here, and give them the overall view of our location. And that basically gets them to come like the warehouse as well.
Well, I admire your perseverance. I
And
mean,
we
it's
stay
tough.
with them, Gene. Once we stay with them, just like the Grillstone, where we stay with them through the process right up until the grand opening, because we all know it's a very difficult process to go through sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And just reaching out to them is tough. Just
we
that
stay
perseverance.
engaged. We're
and,
engaged with these businesses that want to come here, and that's important that they know that.
Absolutely. That's where I think, Steve, you're doing such a great job.
Thank you. I wind up being the liaison between them.
Don't
Between
just make the sale and go home.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like anything else. It's sales and
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
You got to stay with them to make that sale and help them through the process. So
Okay.
I think they appreciate that.
Well, there's two other things on the list here. A new warehouse.
A warehouse.
Nice, clean industry.
Another
nice, clean
example
building.
of perseverance. That was a 2-year.
Was it really? Where is this
effort.
going to go, Steve? The warehouse.
Back on Waterworks Road.
Okay.
Back right across from the Stavola plant where they do the asphalt.
Right.
So if you go down Perrine Road,
Yes, sir.
Lowe's on you, right down there, hang a left, you'll see a big swath of land cleared. 315,000 square foot distribution center.
Wow. That is a nice rateable too, isn't it? Because it's sort of clean.
We
and-
were fortunate enough, area in need of redevelopment, we were able to negotiate a pilot program, which is payment in lieu of taxes. So when you say ratables, it pretty much doubled the ratables that the town would normally be getting from a facility of that size. So
Yes.
it's a win-win situation. It's creating about 75 good jobs. It is setting the stage for that area that really needs improvement. If anyone has driven down that road, knows that
Oh, yeah.
it is, I always compare it to a third world country.
It is,
And,
I know.
because I see other towns and what's happened
Yes,
in
sir.
those industrial areas. So it's setting the stage for a lot of good things to happen. And because, as I said before, Gene, with the location, we're close to the ports. This new e-commerce boom that the country is experiencing now, with the box stores not being built like they used to
I
be.
know.
Everybody is ordering online, and it's going right from the warehouse to the consumer. So that is pretty much what
Again,
this
well
facility is
positioned.
all about.
Yeah.
Access to the ports to deliver their goods, and then a centrally located distribution point to bring their product to where it needs to be quickly.
Wow.
so-
That sounds interesting.
And they're the
Steve.
catalyst because now that they, other distribution warehouses and organizations have seen that they've come to Old Bridge.
Right.
Because you go to the other towns like South Brunswick and Monroe, they're
Yes.
maxed out of space.
Yes.
So there's a whole formula of
Yeah.
cube versus square footage versus floor plate. We know all the
We know all-
terminology.
You know 'em
now.
all now, huh?
We know it now.
We went up a little higher.
Yeah,
than some
higher,
towns, so
correct.
that allows them to stack a little higher. So it's very complicated.
I bet it is.
That's the attraction portion of it. And we have them lined up now, ready to say, hey, what piece of property can we get back in that area where the other one is? And the other one is going to be our diamond back there, right?
Okay, Steve, I'm going to let you talk about one more thing before we
Okay.
close. And I think something has always been, it's something that's always been needed here in the township, and that's a new hotel.
New
How's that
hotel.
going?
Our last hotel was in 1864, and it was the Pine Tavern.
Okay. So we need a new hotel,
We
obviously.
need a new hotel.
Where is this going, and who's going to manage it?
It will be, it'll straddle Spring Valley Road and Route 18.
Okay.
At that parking lot where you see the All-American Ford.
Yes, sir.
Has that long parking lot just
Yes.
before it, south or east of that, I should say. So it'll be sideways between Spring Valley Road and Route 18.
Okay, do we have a franchisee yet for it? Or
So far,
is
I've
it to be
heard
named?
it's going to be a Hamptons Inn.
Okay, very good. I think Old Bridge has long needed a hotel
And talk
for
about
people, for
perseverance.
guests,
That
for
developer,
residents.
I think, has been more than persistent. His competition was fighting him for over 2 years. So hats off to that developer. Finally, if anyone goes there, they'll see the ground is broken. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
have to go
action going on there. So again, Steve and everybody working with that developer, because it would have been easy for him to say, throw the hat and say, forget it, I'm moving on.
I
but
bet.
he didn't. So the residents of Old Bridge should be.
Well, Steve, it's definitely a tribute to your perseverance, your perspicacity, and your ability as a salesman to get all this business in town. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
And folks, before we go, I just want to point out that Steve Mamakas here runs his own show here on Old Bridge Television called Let's Talk Business. He features guests, some of whom we've talked about here. In the big picture, he brings them in and he talks in nuts and bolts about some of the businesses. And he also has another show called Spotlight where he puts the spotlight on various enterprises that are already in the township as they develop in the township. So he gives them some added publicity as well. So tune in to Old Bridge Television for that activity as well. Want to thank you for watching. I'm Gene McLaughlin. This has been Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Henry. We'll see you next time. Take care.